second grade, it's Miss Stone. We are getting ready to go into week 2 of math. This week we are going to focus on writing 3-digit numbers in word form, expanded form, and standard form. So our I can statement for this week is I can write 3-digit numbers in word form, expanded form, and standard form. One of the tools that we're going to use this week is our Perry the place value robot. We used this back when we were in school, and it shows different forms that you can write numbers in. On Perry, we see that there are 4 forms: number form, base 10 form, expanded form, and word form. Even though we are not focusing on base 10 form this week, it is obviously always good practice to remember base 10 and remember how it can help us. So again, this week we're focusing on number form, which also goes by standard form, expanded form, which we went over last week, and word form. Let's start by going over the first form, which is standard form, sometimes known as number form. You can call it either standard or number form, and they both mean the same thing. And this is simply how we are used to writing numbers. So when we write the digit 1, we are writing that in standard form. When we write when we write the number 13, we are writing that also in standard form. So therefore, when we have 3-digit numbers, if we have 456, to write this in standard form, all we need to do is write 456. So the 4 in the hundreds, the 5 in the tens, and the 6 in the ones, and we have successfully written 456 in standard form. All right, now it's your turn. I want you to pause the video right now, and I want you to grab a blank piece of paper and pencil. All right, we are back. So now that you have your blank piece of paper and your pencil, I want you to answer this question on the piece of paper. Make sure you have your name and the date at the top. The question is, what is the standard form for 962? You can begin. When I say stop, you're going to put your pencil and your paper down, and you're going to get ready, because on the next slide I'm going to give you the answer. And the answer is 962, written in this way. So if this is what you wrote down, you have correctly mastered the first form, which is standard form. On Perry, it was known as number form. You can use either one. Today, I'm referring to it as standard form. And you have gotten the first concept. So great job. If you did not get it, rewind the video, take a listen again, and do another practice until you are able to move on. It is okay if you did not get it the first time. It is time to move on to step 2, which is expanded form. This should be pretty simple because last week we focused on expanded form both with 2 digits and 3 digits. So this is kind of a review. So we're going to focus on remembering that we are stretching our numbers to make sure that we can represent the hundreds, the tens, and the ones. All right, so let's practice. Here we have once again the number 456. We remember when we look at 456 that the first thing we need to do is remember all parts of place value, which are the tens. Let's start with ones, tens, and hundreds. Or you can start with hundreds, tens, and ones. When we look at this, we see that the 4 represents 400 because 4 is in the hundreds place. Then we see that the 5 represents tens, so it is a 50. And we see that the 6 represents ones, so it is a 6. So therefore, if we are writing this in expanded form, we would write it as 400 plus 50 plus 6, and we would be done. That is our easy way of representing expanded form. All right, so let's practice. We're going to work on the number 366, and we're going to put it in expanded form. So once again, on your piece of paper and with your pencil, you're going to have about 30 seconds to write 366 in expanded form. If you need a reminder as to what 456 was in expanded form, rewind the video, go back, listen to it before you give this a try. So your 30 seconds starts now. And the answer is 300 plus 60 plus 6. The reason I chose the number 366 for us to work on to put in expanded form was because I wanted to make sure that everyone really understood what each digit actually has in terms of value. So we start with a 3 and we make that into 300 because 3 is in the hundreds place. Then we add our plus sign and we go to the 6. The 6 represents 60, so we put 300 plus 60. Then we look to the ones place. And now we really have to remember, even though there's the digit 6 in the tens place and there's the digit 6 in the ones place, they both represent different numbers because they are in different place value. So 300 plus 60 plus 6. 3 represents 300, 6 represents 60, and 6 represents ones. All right, so now we're moving on to our last step of our forms. We did standard form, we did expanded form, and now we are going into word form. Word form might be the trickiest of the forms for most scholars, and that is okay. We saved it for last, and we're going to work on it together to figure out a great strategy in order for us to master this. If you feel like you are frustrated at any point, if you feel like you are feeling a little bit overwhelmed or just need a break, just pause the video, take a stretch, jog around your room, whatever you need to do to come back so that we can master this last step. So 456, we're going to focus on this once again. So the way that we are going to do this is we're going to break 456 into different parts. We're going to start with 456. If we are not sure how to spell this, we can use a resource online and we can actually look up the beginning of each of the digits that is on here, and we can use that to help us. So I'm using this resource, and this will be posted on Google Classrooms under each of the assignments as well to help with word form. But this shows and breaks down different numbers that you are able to reference so that we can better understand how to write our numbers in word form. So on your piece of paper that you've been doing work on, I want you to take that again, and we're going to use that to practice how to write 456. So we're going to break it down into step 1. The first step is to find 4 on here and write 4 on your piece of paper. So when you find 4, I want you to write it on your piece of paper. All right, if you need more time, that is totally okay. Just pause the video, and once you have found and written 4 down, then you're going to move on to the next step. So now that we have 4 written down, our next step for this is we are going to then write 100 next to it. Okay, on here we notice that we do not have 400 written down, but we do have 100 written down. On your piece of paper, you already have 4. So where it says and shows 100, instead of writing 1, O-N-E, 100, you're going to write 100 next to the 4 that is already on your paper. So I want you to find the 100. I want you to not write the 1, and I want you to write 100 next to the 4. After you have done this, I want you to make sure that you have just 400 written down. So I'm going to give you some time to do so, and again, if you need more time to do this, just pause the video. At this point, we should have this written on our piece of paper. It says 400. Now we're going to move on to the next step of our number. We have represented 400 on our piece of paper. Now we are going to find 50 on our personal word wall, which is where your numbers are, and you're going to write 50 next to the 400. So once you have found it, I'm going to give you some time to write that down. And again, if you need more time, just pause this video. So now we should have 450 written on our piece of paper, and it should look like this. All right, great job so far. Now we're on to the last part of writing 456. We've written 450, and now we just need to include the 6 in that. After we have written 450, after the 50, we are going to include something called a hyphen. A hyphen looks like a minus sign, and we need to write this each time after we write the digit in the tens place. In this case, the number in the tens place is 5, which is 50, so we put the hyphen after that. On the next part of this, you will see what a hyphen looks like. This is what a hyphen looks like. So we're gonna write this after the 50. I'm going to give you a couple seconds to write this after the 50, and then we're going to move on to writing 6. All right, great job. So we have 450 hyphen, and now the last thing that we have to do is just write 6. So you're going to find 6 on here, and you're going to write 6 after the hyphen, and we're going to have correctly written 456 in our last form, which is word form. So when I say go, you can find 6 and you can write it on your piece of paper. Again, if you need more time, just pause the video. Go. Great job. Now we have done standard form, expanded form, and word form. And word form was definitely tricky, and it's something that we're not fully used to yet, but with practice, we're just going to get better and better. In this week's Google Classroom assignments, you will see practice with writing these 3 forms of numbers, and if you need any additional help, please make sure you are contacting your teacher and attending office hours. I'm going to attach the personal word wall to the assignments so that if anyone needs reference of spelling or remembering how to write the numbers, you will have that to help you with that as well. Thank you guys so much. You did an awesome job. And please remember, we are always here. We have Harambe Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 9:30. And myself, Mrs. Rideout, and Miss Lloyd are willing and able to help anyone that needs them.